In early 2013, Brendan Green created a mod for ARMA II that would go on to shape the next decade of game development to a certain extent. Brendan Green, also known as PlayerUnknown, wasn't the first to tackle the Battle Royale genre in media, with plenty of other sources in media from book and movie examples, but even in the gaming space for things like the Minecraft Hunger Games and DayZ Survivor games just a year prior. But his product would be the first to really bring a level of prominence to the genre, commercially speaking. His project would later become PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, or PUBG as we know it today. PUBG, of course, was one of the pioneers in the Battle Royale genre, spawning variations and other major attempts at the genre that we see today, such as Fortnite, Warzone, RedSec, Apex Legends, and plenty of others that still thrive, but undoubtedly one of the grandfathers of the genre was PUBG. Fast forward 10 plus years and the PUBG brand may not be as early into the genre as before, but they're attempting to do it again, this time with extraction shooters, the newest craze in the industry, creating a new, unique experience every single time you enter into a raid where death or glory is around every single corner. But which one is entirely up to you. Recently, PUBG Black Budget was revealed to the world in a preliminary state, the first offering of a project that's been long rumored but never officially stated. Today we're taking a look at what you need to know about this upcoming project from the former pioneers of the genre, and can they recapture their own lightning in a bottle to be a pioneer once more? Drop your thoughts, drop a like, and make sure to subscribe to stay updated with all things FPS content. I'd love to have you in the community, but for now, let's take a look at PUBG Black Budget. So first and foremost, what is Black Budget? This will be an extraction shooter. Obviously, means that you go in with what you're willing to risk, come out with any spoils you find along the way, but if you die, you lose everything. This developed by PUBG Studios and designed as a first-person experience, so unlike Arc Raiders, you will be back in control right behind your gun in that first-person perspective. You're a contractor, a hardened veteran hired for a classified operation on an island at the edge of the world. Your mission is to recover top-secret technology from an abandoned research facility, but the island is trapped in a time loop, consumed by a supernatural phenomenon known as the anomaly. Some key details here with this include things like the map sizing, where it's a 2.5 by 2.5 kilometer open world island featuring varied biomes, points of interest, and underground facilities. Each session can last up to 30 minutes, combining exploration, combat, and extraction with a persistent inventory that you keep what you extract but lose what you bring in if you die. There is level and squad-based matchmaking planned for up to 3-player squads or 45 players per session, with dynamic PvPvE encounters against other contractors but also hostile entities in the world. The anomaly will gradually shrink the playable area, creating tense and unpredictable scenarios with every loop, and difficulty scaling that increases with player level and time spent inside that loop. Additionally, the game is planned to have 3 rival factions offering contracts, missions, and rewards tied to loyalty and reputation inside those factions, with persistent character growth throughout skills, proficiencies, and upgrade systems. So seemingly offering you again some sort of like skill tree to build up those base features of your character. Customizable and expandable bases will feature crafting stations, stash upgrades, and facilities that provide income, with research stations serving as a narrative and progression hub. Extensive weapon and gear customization, including faction-exclusive items, healing items, and stimulants, enhancing survivability and performance, with full character and equipment customization, including appearance, clothing, as well as weapon and equipment skins for that first-person perspective. So a lot of stuff detailed here initially based off of what we've seen for PUBG Black Budget, but what makes it different? What makes this more than just your run-of-the-mill extraction shooter? Well, per Crafton, PUBG Black Budget will redefine the extraction genre with a focus on exploration and discovery rather than pure survival and combat. Set on Coley, a mysterious island trapped in a time loop and consumed by the supernatural phenomenon known as the anomaly, players will face various PvPvE threats while seeking top-secret technology and unraveling the truth behind the Black Budget initiative, Sapiens. Personally, I think the first-person perspective for a lot of people will be a welcome bit, but adding in various different elements like a time loop and supernatural elements to it will be aesthetically one of the draws here. However, the difficulty scaling and the anomaly zone shrinking is what I think maybe differentiates it gameplay-wise, and whether or not that's good or bad for the gameplay loop, I still think that's something that we don't know, but an encroaching zone and difficulty ramping as you stay in is curious for sure. I think with the zone encroaching portion of that, if that's only after that initial time limit of 30 minutes, like forcing you to extract being that sort of ever sort of present threat of, hey, make sure you do this or you're going to die, I think that's kind of an okay approach to it. I still don't think it's necessarily perfect or necessary, but if it starts encroaching from the minute your raid starts, that's odd to me in the genre. Like trying to mix Battle Royale then with extraction, which I don't know how that would work out too well. But the interesting part is that this was announced, but we're actually going to see a lot more of this in the relatively near future here, because they announced a closed alpha test that players can get involved in, and they're encouraged to capture, stream, and showcase the gameplay to the world. Now, this is said to take place exclusively on PC and Steam, and will consist of 2 public test sessions from December 12th to the 14th, and then the 19th to the 21st. So 2 consecutive weekends here that you can end up jumping in if you get access. To access this, you'll have to sign up via the game's Steam store page, which we'll link down there in the description below. But those who participate in the test will be able to, again, freely stream, capture, and share gameplay content throughout the testing period. They can also earn early access keys through Twitch drops during the event, and this open format is designed to encourage community feedback and engagement, helping PUBG studios refine gameplay systems and performance ahead of future testing phases. So, interesting to hear, absolutely, and I'd be curious just how exclusive this will be. Like, is this going to be something like the, let's say, marathon alpha testing, where that was just a few thousand people? Or is it going to be something like ARC Raiders closed tech tests, where even though that was still a closed tech session, it was something that tens of thousands of players got in, not just like upwards of, I think, 5,000 or something like that. So we'll have to wait and see for that, but I personally think that the larger the net you can cast here, the more feedback you'll end up getting that is worthwhile and valuable. So we'll have to wait and see. But as for the game's current release, there is no release date just yet, nor is there a price point adequately set just yet. Personally, I'm a fan of a smaller price point here, not necessarily being free to play, but not necessarily being also a full-fledged AAA price tag associated with it. I think that ARC Raiders really kind of nailed that $40 range, where it's cheaper than most AAA titles, offering a ton still, but also isn't free that anyone who wants to just grief and cheat and ruin someone else's game, you're not going to see an abundance of players doing that, because what cheater, when their account is banned, is going to want to spend $40 every single time, especially if you have a decent anti-cheat, which, I mean, knowing PUBG, not so much sometimes, but I think that if you have that slight barrier of entry, that's still affordable to those intrigued by the game, but you also thread that needle to ward off some of the threats that it has here with that. So we'll see. But I guess the biggest question is, can PUBG do it again? Personally, I'm intrigued. Obviously, we cannot say any sort of thing until footage is actually seen and we actually see what the project is like. I think that while both simultaneously late to the party, I mean, we've seen Tarkov now out for, what, 7-8 years now at this point, extraction shooters still also, I think, have a long life ahead of them in the genre. I personally think that ARC Raiders was like the first AAA level extraction shooter that we've seen that's accessible to everyone. DMZ, I've said for years, was kind of the other option here with this, where it was a very, very watered down version of an extraction shooter, but because of that, it was accessible. However, it was a side mode that was given up on relatively quickly. But then you have things like, of course, Tarkov, Hunt Showdown, Gray Zone Warfare, Arena Breakout, all of those that are a lot more hardcore and a lot more niche, that it's not exactly an early access to the genre, but often those entries that are solid entries are limited by platform, so they weren't nearly as accessible to the masses, and especially in the case of funding for a lot of those games, they were severely outgunned in the number of zeros behind the development and marketing budgets. So as more large-scale publishers see that these games catch on, I still think that, like it or not, we're still in the infancy stage of the extraction shooter. I think that if PUBG's formula is addictive, interesting enough, and can differentiate itself as enough of a branch from the standard gameplay loop, it has potential. But again, this is speaking so far in advance that we don't actually know much about the project other than it's coming, and it's something that PUBG could potentially chase that pioneer status once again. We'll know more here in a few weeks as the game being showcased further, but for now, we're going to talk a little bit about this because, I mean, having played PUBG since back in its infancy, back when it was that ARMA II mod, and seeing now the potential again for the studio to work on something new in the genre and the experience, I'm just curious to see what they cook up. So in the interest of trying to expand the horizons, covering even more FPS experiences and content here on the channel, and just honestly sharing with you guys stuff that I'm more so interested than chasing maybe any view total or anything like that, just want to share this with you guys that if you are interested in this, you can check it out. You can sign up for potentially access to the closed alpha here in a couple of weeks' time. But let me know your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of PUBG Black Budget? Like the sound of it? Not so much? Let me know. But if you guys enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor, drop a like on it. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things FPS content, maybe more Black Budget content, Battlefield 6, ARC Raiders, Black Ops 7, RedSec, you name it, we got you covered here on the channel. But I'd love to have you in the community. For now, thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.